Hey everybody, Steve the Amateur Historian. I am in the vicinity of, I'm kind of on the edge of Portland State University. I specifically wanted to be in this area in relation to the subject matter for today's video because it's a case that was just interesting enough to where I really wanted to do a video about it, but unfortunately in all the resources, newspaper articles I found on the matter, I could never find an address as to where it happened. I know it happened in a kind of a rooming house, boarding house, apartment building type setup. And that's specifically why I came to the Portland State area, because I figured if I don't know exactly where this happened, I'm going to be in an area that gives off the greatest vibe in terms of where I personally could see this event happening. So I'm doing the best I can on a new episode of Historic Murders of Portland. So I'm cutting through campus. I'm trying to get to the west side of PSU because there's so many cool little apartment rooming houses in the area, which kind of makes me think that this might have been at least one of the possible areas that the events in this story could have taken place. Even some of these kind of old apartments and rooming houses have been converted into college housing now, so this just, when I was looking through the information, trying to think, where would this be? This is the area I got the best vibe from. So, figured I'd bring you the story while I venture through this area, kind of in between backside of PSU and then the I-405 freeway that's just a couple blocks that way. So it's September 1st, 1931. And there's a man named John Carter. Yes, that was his name. Not the same guy from the movie and whatever else. But, you know, there was a guy named John Carter who was staying at a rooming house, renting a room in a rooming house with his family. And it's interesting. I mean, I guess travel was a lot more difficult back in the day, so even short trips, I guess, were considered vacations. I don't really know the circumstances surrounding it. It's a little strange, a little odd, but John Carter and his family lived in Oregon City, which is, you know, maybe 20 miles south of here, if not probably a little bit less. So it's just interesting that they live only 17, 18, 19, 20 miles away, and yet they're just up in Portland renting out a room for the week. At least that seemed to be the stipulation, that it was going to be for a week. It's a little bizarre. But anyway, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe it's all innocent. Those are the circumstances surrounding their stay at a rooming house, again, somewhere in this city. I don't know where. And the house that they were staying in was run by a guy named Carl Becker, who apparently was a kind of a no-nonsense guy. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him. He demanded, like, first week's rent, like, boom, right out of the gate. Which is fine, but it seems, you know, the family showed up late August. It's September 1st. It hasn't even quite been a week yet, and Becker returns asking for more money. I guess he wants to be paid through the second week. Again, I don't know how long this family was intending on staying here. These are little details that don't really pop up. So he shows up at their room, says, hey, I need more money, pay me. There were multiple different amounts given, Initially, they reported it was $2.50 that they owed. I don't know if that was for the week or if that was for a day or a collection of days, but still, at the end, $2.50. It became $2.70, and by the end, it was $2.80. So, either way, less than $3 was what Carl Becker was demanding. $2.80, which even 1931, like obviously $2.80 was worth a lot more then, but still, I mean, what are we talking? We're talking a matter of today would be what, 30, $40 maybe? I don't know the denomination difference there, but it was $2.80. And John Carter told him bluntly, whether he's being honest or not, he said, "I'm sorry, I don't have it. I promise I'll get it to you, but I just don't have it right now." So Carl Becker, I guess, accepted that for the night, because he came back kind of bright and early the next morning and demanded pay again. I don't know how John Carter was supposed to get money between the evening and the following morning unless he was doing some crazy stuff during the night, but it seems like it's August 31st, and the guy comes looking for money evening of I keep saying October, August 31st, October 1st, he comes back bright and early expecting money. John Carter tells him again, "I don't have it. I'm sorry, I will get it for you." Yeah, see, it's cool old, this is probably apartments now, but a lot of rooming house, small apartments like that are in this area. Even the occasional, see, that's kind of a big rooming house. It's just a house with a lot of rooms. There's these cool buildings kind of nestled in the middle that have been changed from homes into businesses for the most part. But yeah, just a real cool, interesting vibe in this area. Anyway, back to my story. So, Carl Becker, after he comes back, I don't know, it seems like a fuse blows. Maybe he already had a fuse waiting to explode on him, but for whatever reason, it really blew. And he came up to the room apparently with a weapon. He had a gun on him. Because apparently when you point a gun at somebody, money magically appears in their hands. I mean, it can if they're lying to you, but in the realms of reality, if someone doesn't have money, someone doesn't have money. And if you point a gun at them, it's not going to make money appear in their life. And the description of the story is a little bizarre. It seems after he brandishes a weapon, he then locks them into their room, which, as the guy who runs the place, I guess it seems like he would definitely have the capabilities to do that. God, there's a lot of sketchy people walking around here. Maybe I made a mistake. I've already evaded a few. There's 3 over here. This guy looks like he wants to cut someone. There's a lot of Carl Beckers around here right now. But, so the family gets trapped inside their room. And, again, whether John Carter's pulling Becker's leg by saying he doesn't have money, whatever the case, he decides he's gonna bail. Maybe he's scared for his life, maybe he's scared for his family's life, maybe he's just a grade A scammer, I don't know. And he starts packing their bags. So we're getting out of here, we're bailing. And they start packing, and John Becker, cracks open a window to their room. I'm guessing this means they're on the ground floor, because they were gonna escape out the ground floor window. God, I love these places. Look at this house, so amazing. And then this, I think, is where the Morris Marks house was. Oh yeah, this is where Una Munson lived, actress from Gone with the Wind. Una Munson, she lived in this big apartment house for a while. See, I told you, it's a really good area. Even this is kind of cute. Across the street, Lexington Apartments, this is kind of cute. This is the kind of area I would think this would happen in. I don't know why, because it's such a pleasant area, and I'm not telling a pleasant story, but John Carter gets the window open, starts throwing their luggage out the window. They're gonna duck out the back window and bail. And obviously, Carl Becker's onto them from the start, either because he can sense what's going on or he's just unduly paranoid. And he Of course, he's in like the hallway of his building, and he turns and starts running down the hall to go out front. He's gonna head John Carter and perceivably his family off at the pass, so to speak. He runs outside, and there's a few different explanations for what happens. There's claims that as Carter's climbing out of the window, he's like half in the window, half out, Carl Becker gets out in front of the building and shoots him in the window. But then there's apparently eyewitness reports that say like Carter actually got out of the window and out front of the building and tried to scuffle with Becker, and that is where Becker shot him. So there's a side of the story that says Becker shot him while he was in the window. There's a side that says he shot him after he got out. Oh, and by the way, this is the Campbell Court Apartments, the Rajneeshis, when they were in Oregon in the 80s. They actually bought and ran this hotel and called it Hotel Rajneeshi for a while. And I actually think while they were in possession of it, someone like firebombed it. But again, another big apartment rooming house that was once a hotel. A lot of history in this area. Una Munson, the Rajneeshis, John Carter getting blown away out in front of a rooming house. So yeah, wherever he was when Carl Becker shot him, he was pronounced dead afterwards. Here's another one. I love this one whenever I pass it. He was dead on the scene. All over a matter of $2.80. And of course, the story also fluctuates based on who you talk to. To John Carter's benefit, in his death, he had his family there. I think he had a wife and a son and a daughter who were there to witness it. And I mean, regardless of what responsibility John Carter held, they were probably going to side with him. And of course, Carl Becker was probably going to try to put together some interesting story too, to argue that he wasn't just a maniacal apartment manager who was willing to come in with his friggin' Glock ready to cap someone over $2.80. And Becker's side of the story is that it was self-defense, which of course everybody who brutally murders someone, it's always self-defense. He claimed that he obviously sided with the story that implied that John Carter actually made it out of the window, because he implied Carter came at him with a knife, and that was when he had to pull the gun up and shoot him, so it was self-defense. But that doesn't address the fact of why he felt he had to go get a gun in the first place over some potentially suspicious tenants over a matter of $2.80. And also, he implied he felt they were going to bail because he saw that their bags were packed. But then Carter's family says that they didn't start packing the bags till he locked him in the room, and they were like, okay, well, this is messed up. We're getting the hell out of here. Yeah, so there was a lot of problems with Carter's, sorry, not Carter, he's the guy who died, but Becker's perspective on what happened. And nobody in the Carter family, no witnesses that arrived on the scene, no one vindicated this idea that Carter came at Becker with a knife. There was no knife recovered. Like, there was nothing to vindicate it. But I guess he had to come up with something. And, the craziest aspect of all, when he's going to try to act like he was innocent in all this, the whole reason this started was because he came demanding more money when the Carters had paid rent for that first week, and that first week wasn't over. He came to them demanding more money before they'd even finished out their first week. What if they were going to leave after that week, and then they're paying him money for nothing? So, a lot of issues with that, and that's what instigated the whole thing. Was this guy came pestering them about paying rent money that they shouldn't have had to pay yet, and yet that is the circumstances that ultimately escalated a situation from what should have been a minor tiff between proprietor and roomer, boarder, into something a lot more violent and tragic. So no matter which way you shake it, his explanation for what happened holds no water. And at the end of the day, Becker was wholly responsible for this situation escalating at all. It shouldn't have had to escalate this way. Not at all. It was $2.80. You know, I understand no nonsense, you know, rooming house owners, proprietors, boarding houses, landlords, whatever. But that's just too much. That's too much. So Becker was charged with first-degree murder because the guy was clearly out of his continental mind. And ultimately, come November 1931, so within you know, just a little over 2 months, because this was September 1st when the murder happened, he was able to plead down to manslaughter, which again, I think this was a, you know, both sides bore a little responsibility. Were the Carters trying to flee? We don't know. I think there was a lot of pandering to, you know, whenever there's just the slightest potential that maybe one side was not more responsible than the other, and I hope this wind isn't ruining my audio, but especially back in the day, they would let people plead down to manslaughter all the time. I don't think this was premeditated. I don't think the guy had the intent to shoot anybody, even if they were going to be a pain in the neck about paying their rent, but he obviously had a bit of a screw loose. Probably shouldn't have had a gun at all. And his actions just, I don't know. I feel like if you were going to give him manslaughter, you should have given him a stiff sentence. Maybe you let him plead down to second-degree murder, but manslaughter, I don't know. I question that aspect of this. And he was given a 10-year prison sentence. Which, I mean, 10-year prison sentence for gunning down somebody over a matter of some chump change. I don't quite buy it. I don't think the guy. Woo! I don't quite think the guy got penalized enough. And again, I wish I could figure out where it happened. That's the one element to this case I just don't know. Because I don't know where it happened. Couldn't find a single address, couldn't even find a street that they said it was on, which would have at least given me a stretch to walk down or something. I just couldn't find anything. So I walked through the area that I felt kind of best represented. The area I felt the story might have taken place. Now granted, there's places where rooming houses were right where I am right now. There was old rundown rooming houses, apartment houses, boarding houses, flop houses, all over the place in this region, up towards Chinatown, everywhere. I just got a vibe from that area over by PSU. That's all. So, I think Carl Becker got off a little light in this case. What do you think? In this case of the murder of John Carter, just outside of a window of a rooming house somewhere in this city back in 1931. And all that said, I am winded now. But anyway, thank you as always for watching. And remember to like, share, subscribe. Watch this while you take your medication if it makes you feel better. Whatever helps you go. Hit up my Patreon if you want to do that. Whatever helps you sleep at night. And all that said, guys, till next time, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian. Another episode of Historic Murders of Portland.